The cost of living crisis here in America is getting worse and worse. It's something I don't talk about enough on this channel, but I am going to start talking about it more and more. Come join me as we talk about what it takes to actually live and survive on what amount of money in the United States in 2025. Yeah, welcome back in the channel, you guys. Thanks for joining me. Again, this is something I don't talk about enough on this channel, and I should. And it's why a lot of you are actually reselling in order to make ends meet, to pay the bills, to put food on the table, to pay the car payment or the mortgage payment, whatever the reasons are to put your kid through college. There is a really big financial crisis in this country. I don't care what the news tells you about the cost of living. The cost of living is so high in this country. And I'm going to show you a couple of clips. Let's go into it. And I'm also going to go over my breakdown of what I believe, an average normal family cost of living is and how unrealistic it is for so many people to be able to afford that. Let's take a look at the first clip.
It's not the overspending, it's the cost of living. Here is a breakdown of the average Gen Z and millennials cost of living in today's world. So number one is rent. Everyone knows that Gen Z and millennials have to have a roommate. So splitting a 2-bedroom apartment with utilities is around $1,500. If you have a car, a $12,000 to $15,000 used car is still gonna run you $400 a month. Car insurance and gas is another $300. Student loan payment, $500. You're gonna have groceries for $500. You're gonna have personal care, doctor's appointments, hair, gym, about $150, and then cell phone and miscellaneous $150. That's $3,500 a month, which is baseline. Do you know how much $3,500 a month is? $70,000 a year or $34 an hour. Because after you take out taxes, put $300 for health insurance and do a healthy $500 401k contribution, that leaves you with $3,500. This is no fun, no savings, no maintenance, no clothes, no kids, no traveling, no vacations, no bachelor parties, no weddings, no funerals, no clothes, no school supplies, nothing. And this is paycheck to paycheck. And on top of it, they're holding $40,000 of student loan debt, a $15,000 car, and if they ever wanted to buy a house with closing costs and a down payment, another $50,000. So they need $105,000. So even if they were somehow able to scrounge up after $70,000 of paycheck to paycheck, $5,000 to go to a concert, to have avocado toast, whatever it is, $5,000 a year, it would take them 20 years to pay off this debt and save up for a house. 20 years of living with the roommate where that rent's going up, and they're making $70,000 a year as a college graduate. The average person in this country makes $50,000. It is not the overspending. It is a cost of living crisis.
So I tend to agree with him. I think that the overspending is sort of a cause and effect answer. And here's the reason why. I think that people get so far wrapped up in not being able to pay to live that they just say, well, I'm not going to be able to make enough money to take care of all this stuff anyways. I might as well just spend it on stuff that I want. And so we see them shopping at the store and buying avocado toast and doing all that crap. We're like, oh, you're wasting all your money. But even if they saved that money, it would not take care of the other stuff. It would help, but it's, you know what I mean? They're like in this cycle. So he's got a lot of numbers exaggerated there. And I'm just going to put up what I think is reasonable. And I live in Florida where it used to be pretty cheap to live here. And it's gone up when the entire country moved here in 21 and 22 after the pandemic. Everyone came to Florida. We gained like 400,000 people in one summer, right? So expenses. So let's talk about what it actually costs to live in this country. And of course, if you live in a cheaper area, it could be cheaper. If you live in New York, it could be super expensive, right? So if you are renting in my area in a decent neighborhood, somewhere with decent schools, you want to, raise a family, whatever, you're looking at $2,000 a month. Like, to get something for $1,500 here is a stretch. It's tough. You can get it, but you got to go to a not so great area, like sketchy area, or on the border, and it's probably not where you want to be. You can get something for $1,800 here. 16, 18 is maybe findable, but really you're looking at $2,000, right? And I'm going to put these numbers up on this screen, right? So, and then we talk about the basics of a house, of a $200 or $250 electric bill and a $100 water bill, utilities, and you've got internet and cable and all these different things. Even if you just have the basics, no cable, and you just have like a Netflix, a $15 Netflix subscription, and maybe a $10 Disney, and you're just spending 25 bucks, right? And then you've got your internet that's maybe 50 bucks or 75 bucks, right? You're talking about, with water, utilities, internet, cable, electric, all those bills, at least $400, at least. Like, I don't know that you can really do it cheaper, right? I have things like an alarm and HOA and Lagoon, but even if you don't live in a neighborhood like this, you don't have all that stuff, it's still gonna be $400 to do the house. So if we're talking about a single person, you know, it's groceries. What do you eat? How much are you going to live if you're going and being frugal and shopping at the grocery store? Can one person live on $125 a week? Yeah, you could do it. You could do $125. You're talking about toilet paper, paper towels. You're talking about food, the basics, 3 meals a day, lunches, whatever. 10 bucks a day is probably a stretch. $20 is probably reasonable. So you're talking about 125 to 150. So we're talking about at least, say, with anything extra, 600 bucks groceries for one person. I don't know that one person could do it on less than 6, maybe 5, but really that's kind of baseline, right? So that's just groceries to live. And then you've got your car payment, a minimum car payment. The guy just told you on like a cheapo car, on like a $10,000, $12,000 car, you're still talking about at least $400, and you're probably talking about $200 in car insurance. So that car is going to run you another $600 combined. And then you have things like a cell phone. You have things, even at $50 a month, and you've got things like a gym membership or personal care, hair, and this and that, right? At least $100 a month. I'll go even a little cheaper than what he's saying there. So that's minimum, right? And then you've got, the cost of fuel. You've got the cost of travel or tolls or whatever. At least, $25 a week. So you're talking another $100, right? So already right there, I'm at $34, $36, $37, $3,800. And I have not budgeted any money for entertainment, for going out, for vacations, for savings, for putting into retirement, for putting into 401k, for emergency funds, like if your tire blows out or your air conditioning goes bad. You've got to be able to put away, a couple $100 a month for emergencies and a couple $100 a month for your retirement, your savings. You got to start saving. So if we just say 300 each, we're up to, $600 to put away. We're up to $4,400 a month. And $4,400 a month, if we times that by 12, is of course $52,800, but that's after taxes. You have to have that amount of money. So pre-tax, in order to bring home $52,000, you probably have to make somewhere in about the 65 to 70 range. He's probably right about that. So $70,000 means $5,833 a month. And if we do 70,000 just divided by 52 weeks, and we divide that by 40 hours, it's $34 an hour. $34 an hour. Well, I'm sorry, but the majority of Americans, especially say 25 to 35-year-olds, are not making $34 an hour or anywhere close to that. And again, that's paycheck to paycheck without any kind of fun entertainment or nothing, and just putting away the bare minimum for an emergency or retirement, only a couple $100, which is nothing, right? So this is a cost of living situation, a crisis. And this is far worse in places like California, New York, Chicago. Miami is even way worse than here. And I put you at $2,000, bare minimum. If you have a roommate, you can save $1,000 a month, and that will help drastically, but it still doesn't put you in any kind of better situation. It's slightly helpful if you have a roommate who can split those bills and save $1,000 to $1,400 a month on each of you. But is that how you're going to live a life? You're going to, your other solution is, of course, getting together with somebody, being a couple, and getting married or getting engaged or whatever. And then, each of you goes to work and makes $25 an hour. So you're making $50 an hour and your life's getting better. 2 incomes, or you're getting 2 jobs. That's why a lot of us do a side hustle, or, why people are driving Uber Eats or gig work, DoorDash, and people are doing eBay selling and Amazon selling. This is why it's so popular. This is why it is so necessary. Because even affording just the bare essentials, the bare minimum expenses is very, very tough for one person. It's not easy even as a couple or 2 people or a roommate. And like he just said, if we start talking about anybody that has any kind of student loan debt, or may have any kind of debt they brought over from a personal loan to pay for that, or they're trying to save for a house payment, a down payment, how are they going to ever save for that $50,000 down payment to purchase that house? There are down payment programs, but still, it's not easy at 1-3%. If you're buying a $400,000 house, you're still talking about having to do, 10, 15 grand out of pocket. Where are they going to save that money? Where are they going to pay off debt? How are they going to put more money towards an IRA or 401 or be able to retire in 20 years? 30 years, right? They're 25, 30 years old. They don't want to work till they're 80. You want to try to retire at 60. So you're 25, you're 30 years old. You only got 25, 30 years left to work, and you're not getting anywhere. So the solution is always make more money, and that's worked in the past, but now the cost of living has so far outran what the earning potential is for so many people that it's impossible working a 9 to 5 and just being a normal employee, unless you have some, outstanding job, as in the medical field or in the legal firm or something engineering, where you're making 50, 60, 70, $80 an hour. Unless you have that, you're not going to get by working, an office job. You're not going to get by working as a receptionist or working, even as an auto mechanic who might make, I know a lot of mechanics who do well. They make $30 an hour. They make $40 an hour. But as good of a paycheck as that is, it's still only $50,000, $60,000 a year. And I say only 50, 60 because that's the take home. And that's just enough to get by. The average American home has to get by on 50, 60 grand, and doing it on less money is almost not possible. Remember, minimum wage is up into the 30,000s now. So just something to keep in mind, guys. That's not even, I didn't even include a health insurance payment in that. I totally forgot about health insurance. Me and Kate pay almost $700 for the two of us for health and dental and vision. I wear, a lot of you might know, I wear contacts. She wears glasses, plus our dental. So we get exams and checkups and all that. But I think it's like $690 a month for both of us. I think she's like, as a female, more expensive, like $350, and mine's like, or like $370, and mine's like $320 or something, right? So just all these things add up to a financial crisis. It's an overspending is a problem. Buying perfumes and avocado toast is a problem when you're wasting $100 a week or $200 a week, and you're costing yourself $400 or $500 a month. But when you're short $2,000 or $3,000 because of the cost of living, it doesn't even out. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think this is more of a problem of people just spend crazy? Or do you think it's more of a problem of it just costs too much to live in this country? It costs too much to live in a lot of these cities. It costs too much to survive in the United States of America in 2025. You let me know. I feel like if you work a normal job, you got to get a side gig. You got to sell on eBay. You got to drive DoorDash. You have to do something to, unlimit your earning potential. And that's why I do what I do, because, maybe there's a month I make 10 or 12 grand and I know I can pay the bills, everything's good. Maybe there's months I make 20 grand and I can shove money away and do fine on that, in pocket. So that's something to, really think about, freeing yourself. You're limited when you go to a job at how many hours you can work. Sometimes there's overtime, but still limited on how much money you can make based on what your pay rate is. But when you sell, when you make YouTube channels, when you do social media, when you do DoorDash, you're almost not limited. DoorDash kind of is, because there's only so many hours in a day. But selling and social media is unlimited, right? Like, you can make money while you're sleeping. So something to consider. That's why we do what we do. I wanted to talk about it. Maybe I'm way off base here. You guys will let me know in the comments section. As always, I appreciate it. Don't forget, I have 100,000 Pokemon cards I just bought. And in fact, I have a little less than that because I sold a bunch today. They're being sold in lots of 1,000. It's $95 free shipping. They just got picked up. They just got delivered to me locally, and I was able to grab them and building boxes. If you want it, email me, rockstarflipper@gmail.com. I will get you a box out. It's free shipping anywhere in the lower 48 states. Add $15, Alaska, Hawaii, Puerto Rico. Also, we still have the 900,000 sports cards. So if Pokemon's not your thing, you'd rather do sports cards, we have those boxes for $95 per box. Message me about those as well. Football, baseball, you can do sports specific, mixed, hollows, prisms, paninis, rookies, everything in between. Rockstarflipper@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to hook you up with some boxes and get them out to you this week. As always, enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Be safe, make money, and I will talk to everyone next time.